Hey again YouTube, Nutjob with Machete back with another review for you. It's sort of like stuff you've seen in the past, but I've decided to try out some new products, some new ideas, stuff like that. So what I've got for you guys today is this thing. I know it looks like a Tomahawk, and it is. This is the Timberline CBT. It is designed by Dave Young. This number is 4804. If it looks kind of funky, it is kind of funky, truthfully. It is a combat breaching tool, CBT. Never actually used a breaching tool that wasn't like basically just a Pry Bar or a Halligan or something like that. So getting kind of an all-in-one was actually pretty cool. And I have to say, the price I got this at, I'm sorry you're probably not going to get it at that price. I watched it for about 3 months and it was on Amazon. My buddy got me another breaching Tomahawk, and I'll show you guys that in a later video. So you have to tune in for that one. But I was watching this one too, and I watched the price go from like $150 down to $114, down to like $80. I got it for $56.84, and then the very next day I was like, oh well, you know, at that price, why don't I go back and get another one? It was up to like 200 and something, so I got it for like 21% of the price it's currently listed at on Amazon. But it's definitely worth the money I paid for it. I wouldn't pay $200 for it. I'll tell you why, but you know, it's just a couple little things. But let's take a look at it. So let's come in close. Tomahawk Design. Now it's actually, unlike most axes, like for instance this Hellforce Brooks axe, you can see that the blade profile is angled downward, other than this one, which is a lot more up and down. Well, that means that when you chop into stuff, it lets you transfer a little bit more force, which is good because of the two breaching Tomahawks I got, this one is the lighter of the two. That said, it does mean that it's a little bit more nimble. But yeah, it does need this design on the face of the axe to actually impart a good portion of its force. Now, what the hell is this cutout? That is a gas shutoff wrench, basically, and it works. What's this? Well, it actually is, of course, your little spike. Now, they say there's X number of tools in one, and you know that back here is for scraping and so on and so forth, and you probably could scrape a ferro rod on it. That this is for breaching, and it's almost like a knife, and that they have this serration so that when you breach, like you smash a window, this will grab the screen and everything. Now, one thing to note before I go on to the rest of the tools is I did try to breach tempered glass. And this was a very pointy point, and now it's a blunt point, because that mushroomed completely. So I just filed it down. It's fine now, but that's something to be aware of. Smacking into tempered glass hard enough to break it, which actually ended up not on camera, I'm sorry. The battery died while I was swinging. But anyways, bent this tip, so I ended up kind of annoyed and had to fix it. But it doesn't really detract from the rest of it. Now, solid piece of steel, and we go down to what's actually a good pry bar. What makes it good is, one, it's already pre-angled, and that helps you with leverage, but it's thinner. It tapers down from the overall thickness of the spine. Let me see how thick that is. Well, it tapers down so that it's easier to get this into material. And then this, they also call a wire stripper, nail puller. Truthfully, it does work really well at prying like plywood and OSB. How well does it work? Well, let me introduce you to the battle stool. Hang on a sec. So this is just before all the tests. I was going to make a breech box where, you know, multiple sides, so on and so forth. but I ran short of lumber and really want to film this video, so currently we have the battle stool, which will turn into a breech box later, so I can do plywood on one side, OSB on another, glass, blah blah blah, and we can see how different tools will work. So yeah, that is the battle stool. The breeching box, not quite finished. But what I did was I tested this out. You saw there was a piece of OSB and a piece of plywood. So what I did was put a piece of tape down the middle and I tested both of my breeching tomahawks on it and just kind of marked out CBT and KS. And sort of went to town using them. Starting with using the axe head first and then the spike on back, and then seeing if I could actually cause a breach that would let me get this in there to maybe work out the material. Then I flipped it on its side and just pried at the material. Now, the thing to note, sorry if you hear a very loud engine in the background. One of my neighbors is being a jackass. Yeah, I know, they don't know that I sit in here and do this kind of shit, so I'm the nice neighbor. But anyways, then I tried to pry on the OSB and the plywood, and eventually I had to use a rubber mallet and just smack down on the head of this one to actually get it in easier. It might be something that you'd have to do in a breach anyways. Take your axe, hammer, Halligan, whatever, and just smack, smack, pry, breach in, whatever. But enough yammering, let's go to that test footage and we'll come right back. So yeah, it actually works pretty well as a breeching tool. The pry bar on here is actually really good. It's got a blunt tip here, and if you really wanted to, you could file it down a little bit to make it easier to, jab into plywood or whatever. But this actually worked pretty well. Yes, I had to do it on the OSB, but honestly, to me, if you're going to board up windows or anything like that, OSB is a better choice anyways, if a little bit more expensive, in some instances. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't bought a sheet of OSB in a while. We've still got sheets sitting around here, hence that. Blah, blah, blah. But how did this thing hold up? Well, like I mentioned, I kind of lost the tip there, which sucks. Also sucks that I don't have the footage for it, but yeah, whatever. The front end, the blade held up pretty well. There's no damage to the pry bar or the handle or anything. Is it still sharp? Well, it's not bad. This one didn't really come, shaving sharp or anything like that. But it's not bad overall. I don't really see, like this one you could, obviously you could use it. in a self-defense scenario. But the way I see them having designed this, and after having watched a few videos and read a few articles on it, they really did design this as a breaching tool rather than just a straight up tactical tomahawk or fighting tomahawk. It does have those aspects to it, but yeah. And the sheath kind of lends a little more credence to that. This is the sheath. Yes, rather involved sheath. Molly straps on the back, so it is Molly compatible. You know, you could put it on your vest at the back and just pull it out. You obviously wouldn't want to put it here, or you could put it on your pack. Either way, basically, get it in. It's got plastic sheath covers rather than Kydex, but it does have the mounts for all your standard gear. So you could attach paracord to it. They actually give you a length of paracord, and yeah, I don't know what those are called. Anyways, this little squishy thing that lets it go in and out on the paracord. But yeah, pop your axe inside, push down, angle it correctly so you don't do what I just did. And that's how it sits. When it's in there, it'll still pop out, as you can see there. So if it's got to be upside down, you got to make sure that the flap is covered and locked in place. Then, of course, it won't move. And there's a little rattle, not a lot of rattle, but a little bit of rattle when it's in there. So, you know, some people have been suggesting cotton balls or like earplugs. You can just cut them up and stick them in there, and it'll keep it from rattling too much. It's actually a really nice sheath, blade carrier, axe carrier. Timberline logo stitched in there. Everything is double stitched. All of the seams. This guy is, I think he's actually glued and riveted in place. It's really hard to see inside. The straps are double stitched in the middle, on the front, same thing on the back, and of course the molly is clipped. And it'll actually go all the way out. So what I've done is just a quick little mod here, so that if I want to, I could carry this on my belt, because truthfully I don't have a molly vest. But yeah, pretty good overall. The sheath is a really nice accompaniment. I think the sheath surprised me the most, rather than, you know, the axe itself, because that's a lot of thought going into, you know, it's essentially just going to carry around an axe. So I kind of like that bonus. And like I said, the axe itself, here's the Timberline Tactical, all the information. You can see it's a little mucky because I wanted to see what it was like just chopping wood. Just in case, I mean, survival scenario or zombie apocalypse or whatever, end of the world, right? You're out, you've gotten this, you've used it to breach and get some supplies, and now you're out in the bush. So I wanted to see if it could just like process lumber, stuff like that. It chops actually pretty well on trees and stuff like that. I did that out at the farm, but it was minus 32 and the cameras didn't really hold up. So yeah, let's just show you guys quickly the processing of the lumber into kindling, basically. So yeah, I mean, it kind of does work as an overall tool. This rubber overmold grip on the full tank construction is rather nice. This diamond pattern and then checks along the spine really does let you align for strikes or chopping or, sorry, neighbors being a bit of a douche again. Prying, it gives you really good comfort for that. And since up here isn't all that sharp, you can actually get good leverage on it. So yeah, all in all, Timberline CBT is actually a pretty cool little tomahawk. Works for its intended purpose, near as I can tell, and yeah, it's definitely worth the money I paid for it, but it's up to you guys as to whether or not it's worth, you know, $200. So I'll leave that one up to you. And I will thank you for watching this video. And of course, if you like videos like this, feel free to click like, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And as always, feel free to share this video as much as you want. And until next time, I'm Nutjob with a machete with a pretty cool breaching tool. Stay sharp.